I am Representative Keisha Waits from House District 60. Today we are joined by Georgia Prosthetics, Dan Zenas, and constituents, Mr. and Mrs. Brown. I want to thank you for coming out today and sharing your personal story surrounding how you came to become friends and clients of Georgia Prosthetics.
By the length, will of the mercy of the Lord and Christ. And I do appreciate what he did for me. Added on, helped me to get my mobility back. It's been a long, long, hard journey for me, for me healing and learning to walk again, learning to get my feeling of pride back again. Because, he really helped me a whole lot with the help of my wife, you Representative Waite, and my Almighty God, Jesus Christ. And that's how we all became to be friends.
Would you mind sharing your personal story and taking us back a few months and even a year? Tell us your plight in terms of diabetes and what that's meant to your family.
Well, that's meant a lot to my family because it really cost me, my jaw, the way I'm living. I had to change my whole way of living, which I have had four surgeries.
Really?
Yes, I had two of my toes on the same left foot removed. Then 2 years later, I had my big toe removed. Then also, they had to go in, cut my foot off. Then I had to move on up and cut the third part of my leg off. So this is what led to me getting a prosthesis leg.
Ms. Brown, as a spouse, oftentimes we spend a lot of time focusing on the person who is experiencing that type of trauma. Tell me how this has impacted you as a wife as well as your family.
Well, my family had to endure him going through the mental part of not being able to move around, not being able to do things on his own. We had to adjust to him, not for him providing for the family as far as financial, but to also encourage him that he's still, a man and he's still the head of the household. But we had to learn how to change the bandages. I had to mentally be prepared for the outcome of what will happen to him. I, at one time, thought that I wasn't going to be able to change this bandage because I thought it was going to be horrible, just to be honest. But, as being a wife and a supporter and to making sure that he has the strength that he needs. So if I was to break down, then I know, of course, that he was going to break down also. But the bandages wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And we had just had to make sure, basically, that he was encouraged, that he was still able to be the man that he was put here to be. And so the whole family we had to regroup along on the side away from him. So we had to have family discussions, and we had to build each other up to know that we can't, if we was to break down, we could not break down in front of him. So we had to be the ones to make sure that the dad, that the husband, that the father, that the provider was still the provider. So that's what we had to do. And we just do what we have to do. I mean, you can't think about it, because if you think about it, then you're going to be overwhelmed. So you just can't think about it. You have to just go on and do it, because this is what you was put here to do. And this is what I was put here to do. I was put here as a helpmate for him, to lift him up, to strengthen him, to let him know, regardless of what happens, you're still here. And Georgia Prosthetic decided, okay, for whatever reason, that they was going to take on his project. And when they did, when we got the call, I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, we can do this at this date. Come on. So when we came, they opened us up. They opened their arms up to us, and they was very kind. They were very generous. They didn't hold back. When we walked through the door, they was very encouraging. Dan was like, we're going to do it. We just need for you to just get healed. We don't want any scars. And once you do that, you come back. It's going to get done. It didn't seem like he thought about it or that it was going to be a problem. Dan said, we're going to do it.
As a men and women of faith, would you say that he was the answers to your prayers?
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Would you say that?
Oh, my God. Just the fact, at the time, you don't think that it would happen. Lewis thought that he was going to be in a wheelchair. He thought that he was going to be on that walker for the rest of his life. We did not see this happening. And then even when Dan said to come back, we were still skeptical because Lewis had went in the hospital again. And they said they wanted to amputate higher. So that part became, okay, look, we already knew that he wasn't going to be able to get a prosthetic if it goes higher, because that's what the doctors were saying. But when the God that we serve is an awesome God. Dan said, we can do it. I don't want you to have no scars. We don't need no opening for complications. When we went, it was done. And it was just God. God put Georgia Prosthetic in the place that we needed to be at the time that we needed it to happen. It was God. And it's awesome. So when people say you can't, God said you can.
That's very powerful, very profound. Dan, here's what I never shared with you. The correspondence that I sent you, I sent that to 10 Georgia businesses throughout the state of Georgia. 3 of them answered the call. You were the first. I had the opportunity to tour your facility.
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to see your passion for what you do. You shared a story with me regarding how you decided to open your business, and I could hear your compassion and your love of people. And for that reason, we have recognized your business as an outstanding Georgia business.
Thank you.
Tell us, again, for the audience, what made you answer the call for this family, and why would you get involved at this level? There are lots of you have great talent, obviously. Tell us why you do what you do every day.
That's a great question. I feel blessed in being able to do the work that I do. I was led to it, so for me, prosthetics is very much more a vocation rather than a job. I'm also very fortunate in that I have my own practice. So when I first met Mr. Brown with the letter from you, so he didn't have any insurance or ways to pay for it, and
That's right.
artificial limbs are expensive.
They are. What does a limb cost? I'm just curious.
It really depends on the technology
Okay.
and the amputation level that Mrs. Brown was referring to. The higher the amputation level, the more sophisticated the prosthesis is, the more expensive it becomes. But Mr. Brown's amputation is between the knee and the ankle, so we refer to that as a below the knee or transtibial, tibia being the shin bone, fancy name. But a below the knee amputation starts at about $3,500, but depending on the technology with some electronics and microprocessors, you can be up to north of $20,000.
And not only have you provided a prosthetic, you've also asked them to come back and receive continual care and therapy.
When we fit a prosthesis for anybody, it's not a matter of, it's custom crafted, but it's not a matter of making this piece of equipment, the device, handing it off, and say, happy walking, have a good life. You know, that's not how it works. Your body continues to change. The prosthesis needs to be modified and adjusted. They wear out. They don't last forever. So it becomes a pretty intimate relationship between myself and everybody I fit a prosthesis for. We get to know each other pretty good because we do spend quite a bit of time together. It's a pretty intimate process. There's a lot of give and take in communication. I need to know what he's feeling as best as he can describe it because I can't feel it. I don't wear a prosthesis, so I rely on what they or what he has to tell me about how it's working, what it feels like. It's not natural to wear a prosthesis. God didn't make our limbs, our soft tissue, our skeleton, skin, muscle to take and put up with a prosthesis, but it can work when it's done well. So I feel blessed to be able to do the work, and because I work for myself, I don't need to ask anybody's permission if I decide I want to donate a prosthesis and do it on a charity case. So I met him, I saw your request, and I can do this. And it's nice to be able to do the kind of work where I'm able to give back, not only to individuals, but the community. It's good. I'm lucky.
Wow, that's, I tell you, in the society we live in, especially in the political world, you don't hear about these types of stories often, and I had to get some footage today to just highlight the amazing work that you're doing in the community. Mr. Brown is a very, very, very integral part of our community in the district. He's a community leader. He's very much active in his church. He's active in his children's lives, and it is my belief that you've given him, if you will, his life back and the ability to continue to be active. Ms. Brown, is there anything, Mr. Brown, that you would like to add and to say to the great state of Georgia and to all of the audience regarding what Georgia Prosthetics means to you?
Well, I just want to let people, the audience, know that it is not over. Your life is not done. To quote a phrase, if God did it for him, he can do it for you. And it's wonderful. Georgia Prosthetic is an awesome, awesome company. It's family owned. His wife is wonderful. She always greet you with a smile. When he was in his wheelchair, we would roll up and try to push the button. The door will automatically open. And when I first went, I knew that, they have a handicap facility, and the door, you push the button, the automatic door open. But I was just amazed. I was like, oh gosh, the door opened. And it was her, and she greets you very well. I love it. Dan is awesome. Georgia Prosthetic is awesome. When their other customers walks out, they greet you with a smile. The first time we seen a guy come out, he had his crutches in his hand, and his wife was holding on to his arm. He got in the driver's side of his truck, and he pulled away from his wife. He said, I can do it. My husband said, that's what I'm going to do, baby. That's what I'm going to do. So Georgia Prosthetic has really been an awesome, awesome blessing to us. Awesome blessing. And I truly, truly thank you, Dan, from the bottom of my heart.
Dan, is there anything else that you would like to say to individuals who feel a level of hopelessness, who have had an amputation, who are sitting around, who are no longer mobile, who may suffer from some level of depression, who do not have an I can do it spirit? What would you say to them?
It can be difficult. Amputation surgery is a traumatic experience. There's a grieving process that goes with it that's natural, that has to be worked through. But life can still be good. Life can still be good. And a prosthesis doesn't always have to be a part of that. We would like it for it to be. But you're still you. And that's the thing. So we do, it's about the person and not the technology.
That's going to wrap our session today. It is my hope that others have been inspired by the Brown family story and by the kindness and generosity of Georgia Prosthetics. And it is my hope that you, if you're in need of any services, or that you will consider Georgia Prosthetics. I know for me, I cannot stop talking about the amazing work that they are doing, even though you're not in my district. It is my belief that you are an outstanding Georgia business, and that you are the epitome of what it means to be an outstanding business and a blessing from God. And for that, I thank you. We will close and have a wonderful, wonderful day.